These dreams I hardly remember, so I'm just gonna make them quick. One time I had a dream that a zombie virus had broken out in San Antonio, and they had quarantined everything. And in the south side of San Antonio, they had built rolling gates to block off blocks at a time. And every day after curfew, they would roll these gates across the street and lock them, so all of these entire blocks were quarantined and zoned off. Come on, Junie. Why do you always do that when I'm making a video? The second dream I had also happened in San Antonio, and there was another type of quarantine. They weren't using fences, but they were using like kind of like look like toll booths with like lowering and raising arms that cars can. I forgot what they're called, but like, you know, when you go into a parking garage and that little arm goes up and down for you to drive, they had those on streets and stuff that led like into suburbs and stuff like that. And same thing, they were checking ID, checking cars before people went home, and they weren't letting people out on certain occasions. What happened was, whenever it rained, it would go on quarantine because a lot of the zombies hung out in the woods and they hung out under bridges, and they tried to stay away from people because they would get killed. But every time it rained, that's when they would come out because there was less visibility, and they also needed water, so they would drink from puddles. And I guess when they were trying to drink, they would also try to eat. So, and there was like less people out, so there was like people were less smaller crowds to protect each other. Come on, Junie. And then this third dream was a strange dream, but it was kind of like a rapture dream. I was walking through a mall with my mom, and it looked familiar, but it was unlike any mall I've ever been to. It had a low ceiling. It had black and turquoise design all over it, and most of the stores looked kind of empty. And we walked by the Nike store, and this is like maybe 10 years ago or more. And the shoes that were on the display looked really futuristic, and I was like, oh my god, they look like space shoes. I was like, Mom, look at these. Had a different type of material, they didn't have laces, and they just looked like a very futuristic design. And about 3 or 4 years ago is when they actually started releasing shoes that looked similar to this, and I was like, these look like the shoes from the dream. Not quite as luxurious or like futuristic looking, but close to it. And then the next thing you know, I was on a plane with all these people, and they were talking about zombies this, zombies that, and how they were excited. Like, they were pretty much excited for a zombie apocalypse because they were talking about what kind of weapons they would use and how they would do that. And in the spirit, I mean, in the plane, I got what you call it. I just got like triggered in my spirit, and I stood up and I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "You think you want to be in a zombie apocalypse?" I was like, "That's like saying you want to battle a pack of hungry lions. You're gonna go after one lion, and then the other lion's gonna get you." And I just screamed at him like that. And like in my mind, it made perfect sense because everybody thought that they were just gonna fight off a horde of zombies because they had a machete or a chainsaw. And I'm like, dude, like literally, if you think you can fight 2 lions, you know what I'm saying? You'd be lucky to fight one, but while you're fighting one, another one's gonna get you. Like, I don't understand. That dream literally changed my whole perspective on what a zombie apocalypse would be like. You know, a person, I can't even talk right now for some reason, but just imagine a person who has absolutely no boundaries when it comes to hurting you. Imagine multiple people, crowds of people charging at you with no regards for their own safety and no restraint on their own strength, and can't be killed by anything, you know, other than getting their head chopped off or a perfect headshot. But the final part of the dream, the first 2 dreams were separate dreams. This dream had the very last one I just told you about had a bunch of dreams to it. And in the very last part, my uncle had opened up a shoe shop for some reason. And I was in there looking for some shoes, and I found a pair that I liked, and everybody was talking about oh, I like these type of shoes, or I like that type of shoes. And for some reason I said, I'm in it for the wow factor. And I had just put on a pair of some black shoes, some black, like, I think they were like Nikes or something, but they were like Air Maxes, but they were a little bit different and like a newer model of some classic Air Maxes. And I threw my foot up on the table and I said, I'm in it for the wow factor. And I like pointed at my shoes. And then moments later, the rapture started to happen. I started feeling charged up and I started going up into this golden light. And this golden light was surrounding me and I was feeling a sensation I've never felt before in a dream. It could have been what the rapture would feel like. I actually think the rapture would feel a lot more exciting than this, but it kind of felt like being changed, like my burdens were coming off me. And that's the only dream I've had where I've experienced something like a rapture, something taking me up. Yeah, just sharing.